13 years ago, a middle school student of mine shared these powerful words with me. Who can I turn to? I'm a person lost in the world. I don't know where to turn. I want to achieve at anything I do. I want to be treated like I exist. I want to be seen for more than the outer me. I want to be seen for the person placed inside of me. But I feel like I'm all alone in the world. I feel like there's no one to run to when I feel like it's the end of me. Sometimes I want to run away to a place where no one can hurt me. As much as I try, life will never go right. It just will never go right. So what should I do if the problems I face won't come up from this deep, dark place inside of me? Who should I turn to if I can't even turn to the person who gave life to me? Who can I turn to? Countless children and youth feel this way. Millions have toxic stress and trauma as a result of adverse childhood experiences that include physical and emotional abuse, neglect, abandonment, and worse. For those who are living precariously and living to die, the end is always near. But for those who are dying to live, the question of who can I turn to is so sincere. I want to share with you today about how schools can transform students and society through empowerment, enlightenment, and engagement. It was the first day of a unique academy that I created called the SAGES Academy, which stood for severing and cutting off the achievement gaps in the education of students who were underserved at Promise Youth across St. Louis. All of my SAGEistic students succeeded in going to college or having a living wage career. And triumphantly, my student who shared that powerful plea had a life plan and was empowered to finish high school, went to a prominent university, and today serves others as an entrepreneur and a criminology expert, and she's a wonderful mom as well. Countless children and youth want to exceed and achieve. However, increasing challenges and changes in our society make so many feel all alone and feel lost, like there's no one to run to. 24 million children do not have their biological father in their homes. That's nearly 1 out of every 3 children in the United States. Suicide is the second leading cause of death among individuals aged 10 to 34. Black males, for the first time in history, are at the top of the list from as young as 5 years old through adolescence in that age range for committing suicide at 2 to 3 times the rate of others. And school shootings are all too common. This is unacceptable. I am appalled by each death, but it fuels me with the fight and fervor to literally create new initiatives for each loved one lost. We must do more to help our schools and students to have healthy communities as well as great schools and to have successful children abroad. This can occur if we, at greater degrees, have a holistic approach towards engagement and empowerment of the heart, enlightenment of the head and mind, and engagement of hands towards career pathways much earlier. So first, empowerment. Empowerment heals hearts. The United States locks up more individuals at a faster rate than any other country in the world. 3rd and 4th grade test scores are used to predict how many jail cells to build and fill. People are making short sales on ignorance. As leaders and as guardians for good for humanity, we must unlock the potential of our children and our schools and empower institutions for healing, real hope and transformation, education, and social uplift. In one of the first communities that I became a leader of, I reopened a closed down school and made it a center for healing and engagement, housing food pantries, as well as a special community garden. We housed an income assistance program and a plethora of support services because we were in a 95% impoverished neighborhood. We housed the Nurses for Newborn program to help mothers and parents and fathers learn how to parent better and have supports to do so, because infant mortality is a serious issue across our nation. These are healing acts of engagement and very important. In the entire district, district-wide, we became the first we district in the state of Missouri, committing to shift our thinking from just me, to we. This stems from an African philosophy of Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. We all know it takes a village to raise a child, but if the village is crazy, so will the children be. And if the village is whole and healthy, so will our children be whole and healthy. We have to do more of that nature. So we engaged in being a we school district, which means that our students took the challenge of identifying a problem that was critical to them, studying the problem, and solving the problem through service learning opportunities and projects in their community and neighborhood, in the community at large, and throughout the world. We had 300 students who voluntarily took the DNA test, studied the ancestry and the countries in which their ancestors came from as a part of the natural history and courses and English courses and write about it. And then they engaged corporate leaders to go out and march and walk for 3 miles, the water walks. They raised over $10,000, which is equal to 1 million Kenyan shillings, and ultimately built wells in Africa as a result of their work. Empowering transformation and healing hearts. Everyone, nearly everyone, knows about the story and the death of Michael Brown Jr. and the civil unrest that occurred afterwards. And as a systems leader that educates part of Ferguson, Jennings, and the city of St. Louis, I want you to know that after that occurred, I met and worked with our team to create an adult GED program. I met with Michael Brown Jr.'s mother and convinced her to finish what she started so that she can get her high school diploma. And she finished in 2017 and marched across the stage with her graduating senior daughter at the same occasion. But we didn't just stop there. We partnered with her foundation, and I brought in the St. Louis County Police Department, which we partnered with, and together we worked to create that community garden that has fresh vegetables and new fruits, both literally and figuratively, in Ferguson and in our land. Such actions are healing. Our police officers operate and mentor every day with our students, engaging in boxing, basketball, and even camping overnight, residentially. And in return, our students now love the police officers that work with them and first responders and want to be what they see and be like them. And they host networking lunches to learn, listen, and share more. Such actions do great good. They promote active citizenry, communication, critical thinking, connection and connectivity, and the healing of the heart. Secondly, enlightenment. Enlightened minds grow. So when a person asks, what should I do if the problems I face won't come up from that deep, dark place inside of me, the answer we need to increase is self-enlightenment and knowledge of self, the ability to concentrate, focus, and understand yourself deeply. In the fall of 2018, I had the pleasure of meeting a renowned psychiatrist and Washington University faculty and a team who introduced me to an emerging practice called parent-child interactive therapy. This couldn't have came at a better time because we had just experienced the loss of a 5-year-old kindergartner on the 16th day of school who died from a tragic domestic violence situation in the home. It was then that I made the commitment that we were going to implement this parent-child interaction therapy in the schools and became the first school district in the state of Missouri and one of the first in the country to give 100 parents and students as young as 3 years of age to 7 life coaches, therapeutic family coaching sessions, an online parenting curriculum on how to face the most difficult aspects to the emotional development of their child, but also towards deep learning and wellness. Parents can even go so far as seeing EEG monitoring of new neural pathways being formed in their child's brain as they model the appropriate emotional development. That is truly enlightenment. When a person has critical self-knowledge, they build resilience, self-worth, and the confidence to be able to tackle the problems that come up from the deep, dark place inside of them. Simply put, when children, parents, and schools are enlightened and they know better, they do better. Which leads me to the third important part of our holistic approach, and that is doing one more thing differently. Engagement of the hands earlier in workforce development pathways. I'm reminded of a story and a conversation that I had with an affluent parent at an affluent school. I took the risk of asking him what he would do to prepare his child for a career. He responded to me in a way that I somewhat expected, but still, it took me aback. He said, well, once I know what my high schooler wants to do, I'll just simply buy the company and acquire it and place him in a management position so he can eventually run the place. I thought, well, that's great for that kid and family. But I want every child to have such personalized preparation and powerful opportunities. See, the reality is that over 50% of public educated students are impoverished. 25% of all parents and 50% of parents of color lack secure employment. The cost of college has gone up by 125% in just one generation. But 65% of jobs won't require college, but will require some education after high school, post-secondary. Why not make this a natural part of the K through 12 experience where we engage children early on in career pathways? Now, this is very personal to me because when I was a high school student, I made a plan at 14 years of age to get married. And I got married at 17, which is illegal if you didn't know unless your parents emancipate you. And my beautiful wife of 25 years and I are still together in here, and we had our first child 10 years after being married, and that was part one of the plan. Thank goodness it worked. Part two of the plan was to accelerate my learning, and so I went extra times at 0 hours and summer hours to accelerate my high school learning, and I graduated with nearly an associate's degree from high school, and then continued that path and graduated with a bachelor's degree literally 1.5 years after leaving high school, and unintentionally became the youngest certified teacher in the state of Missouri. This transformed the trajectory of my life. But now, as a systems leader and superintendent of schools, more importantly, I've engaged and empowered a system to make such powerful, personalized preparation available for all students, thousands of students. But it took 4 BHAGs, as I like to call it, bold, hairy, audacious goals and guarantees that I feel that all students in America deserve and can achieve. First, of course, we make it available for 100% of students to get an associate's degree while in high school without any cost. Imagine the impact on the trillions of dollars of debt from higher education. It's just a natural part of the $700 billion that we already spend in K through 12 education with partnerships. The second thing that we guarantee is that 100% of our students engage in earning and learning career pathway programs as early as in kindergarten and second grade. In kindergarten, students are reciting the Hippocratic Oath and being paired up with targeted mentors, physicians who come in and let them see what they can be. In second grade, students are making tables, desks, birdhouses, and more with architects from Washington University and others and nonprofits who help them see what they can be. And by the time they are in 12th grade, they are literally getting paid $20 an hour and being the breadwinners of their family from Fortune 500 companies, because we partner with over 100 Fortune 500 companies who offer job shadowing, guaranteed paid internships, and interviews to entry-level jobs. Thirdly, we require power skills, 3 months of power skills training to all students, middle school and high school. Yes, I said power skills, not soft skills, because there is nothing soft about being on time, being well-dressed, well-prepared, well-spoken, well-paid workers. Nothing soft about it. So many of our youth know how to Snapchat and even Finster. I bet you some of you don't even know what Finster is. Look it up. But they cannot access Word, PowerPoint, and Excel. So we guarantee 100% of our students up to 7 industry-recognized credentials so that they can get a certificate in Microsoft to learn access PowerPoint, Word, and Excel, Cisco CCENT certifications, as well as pharmacy technician licenses, OSHA licenses, ProStart licenses for culinary work, and forklifting licenses and more, which guarantees those living wages while 17 and age 18, making as much, if not more, than their parents. I have a 10-year-old who owns 7 vending machines and has published 2 bestseller books. 10-year-old. I have a 17-year-old who graduated with an associate's degree and a CCENT certification in Cisco and was offered a $35,000 part-time job, and I had to convince him to say no, to go to that scholarship to the Ivy League school because it will multiply times 100 if you do this first. My zip code did not define or confine me, and it does not confine my students. My students thrive, and no zip code should define or confine the economic and educational outcomes of any individual. Schools can be lighthouses of hope, help, and real healing. And one of the greatest contributions that a public school system can provide is a personal life plan, a career pathway, power skills for a life purpose to become productive citizens of our society. And so when the question is asked, who can I turn to? Let the answer be the empowerment of the heart, the enlightenment of the head, and the engagement of hands in career pathways in earlier ways and times and periods. And when the question is asked, who can I turn to? Let the resounding answer be an understanding of the self in yourself and also me and you. Thank you.